Yeah, it's nice to see you. Thanks for your time as always. Good place as any to start. Just sense of the squad available from the weekend. Anything come out of that game, injury or fitness wise? You're looking at?
It's the same. Ben suffered a mild concussion towards the end of the game. Ben Crescene. He blocked this cross from the side and was hit to the back of his head. So we just have to follow the protocol here, and it will rule him out for the next 2 days or next 2 games.
Okay, next 2 games.
Yeah, because it will be 12 days from the day. So yeah, next 2 games.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think back now. He didn't have to come off there, did he? Because he'd only come on late.
No, because we saw it. It was towards the end of the game. I think there was 1 minute or 2 minutes left, and he had this ball to the back of his head, and you could see that he was actually a little bit shaky in that moment, and then felt some headache afterwards. So there's no other way for us to go than to follow the protocol, and that it says 12 days. So we of course respect that.
Understood. And other than that, nothing in terms of the lads who were on duty on Saturday for tomorrow?
No, it's the same.
Can I just sort of get a few updates on, like Barnsley, for example? You said he had a little bit of a setback there prior to the last international break. Where are we with him?
Yeah, he's back in his boot, which is, I think it's mostly for him frustrating, because he wants to be around the group and a part of the group, and we try to integrate him as much as possible. And he's a great person for the changing room, and he's trying to engage as much as possible. I think for him it's a little bit tough moment, because it is more than what we expected, and also with this setback we cannot really give him a return to play date. So I think that's sometimes even more frustrating, that you don't know, okay, it's this day, or it's this month, or it's within 4 weeks. We cannot really say.
And I think I'm right in saying, I mean, he originally had to have surgery. I mean, we're not. Is it too early to sort of go down that path again, or in terms of medically, how are you dealing with it?
Yeah, I think now it's 3 weeks in a boot, and then we have to assess him after that and decide whether it could be surgery again, or we try again one more time.
Just to clarify, is it the same sort of related to the same issues he had back in the last season?
Yeah, it is. It's the Achilles. So yeah, he struggled last season. I think he did everything he could to participate in the last game of last season, and then with the consequences, and it's of course it is how it is. We do everything we can to support him, but he's of course feeling that a little frustrated.
Longi and Fashnacht, where are we with those two?
Back on grass. They're running, not with the team yet. And I think we spoke about that they will be hopefully ready to train with the team after the national team break.
Okay. And I know obviously you mapped out with Gibbs and Onel, it's going to be up to potentially 10 weeks. Yeah. But is there anything surgical with those two, procedure-wise?
No.
Okay. I mean, moving it on, but kind of on a similar theme, I'm just interested, is there any part of your thought process going into tomorrow in Hull, 3-game week cycle? Yeah. Does that impact your selections for these 2 games? Or do you look at it and think, well, after Hull, you've got the 2-week international break?
Yeah, of course we have that, and of course we have to respect first Leeds tomorrow, and then of course Hull on Saturday. That is 2 good teams. So we have to do everything we can to make sure that all the players we have available, they're ready for the game. And I think it's mostly the 3rd game when you play 3 games in a week like this, where you have to think about some rotations, some changes. I think most players can play Saturday and Tuesday, and they should be able to do that. So I think we are in an okay place, and I think also with the changes that we can do, it can give us something different, and I think we are okay covered on more or less all the positions. So that will be a puzzle for us to do after the Leeds game.
Yeah. Just a reflection or two on Derby. I mean, a lot of praise for the players, yourself, that performance really. But I mean, you did say maybe on the journey home you'd start to think about some of the areas you could have still even done better. I mean, can you give us a sense of what conclusions you arrived at then?
Yeah, I think we get off to a bad start in second half, where I think we're a little bit too loose in our positions and our decisions and passes, and that makes, so we kind of just give them an invitation to put us under pressure, which I was not satisfied about. Then I think our response is fantastic after their 1-1 goal, because we more or less just take the ball back, we dominate, we play on their half, we score the goal a couple of minutes after. I like the attitude from the players, just gathering in a group after the goal and talking about small adjustments and so on, and also the 10-15 minutes after that was really, really good. So I'm really, really happy about the response after that goal, because it was a tough moment for us in that game, and the crowd was going, and that was really a moment in the game where that was a test for us, and I think we definitely dealt with that very strong.
And that's interesting. You zero in on that area, because of those it might feel inconsequential in terms of a whole season, but it's those moments where you grow as a group, grow as a set of players.
I think it is, because we have a lot of respect, especially when we go away from home, because it's difficult no matter where we go, and you have to put on a strong performance. And what we have to do is we have our strengths in the team, and we have to make sure it's a game where it's about our strengths as most as possible. So when we face tough moments, it's about getting back to the base and getting back to our rhythm and finding that flow as quick as possible. That's our way in. And that's the reason why I'm really, really pleased with the response from the guys, because they took over the game again. They started to dominate the game again. I also showed them some clear statistics that from that minute 60, first 50 minutes of second half, we really struggled, but from 60 to 75, ball possession is 72 in our favour, and that's exactly the response I want to see from the guys.
I mean, you talk a lot about performance, not results per se, because obviously that can fluctuate. Factors not in your control. I mean, did you have in your own mind, a period of the season where you felt you might be able to get that consistency in performance, or you hoped it would come? And are you ahead of that curve now, would you say?
It's difficult to say. I think it was important for us to show that we could win back to back, and also a difficult pitch. They've won every of the home games so far. They haven't conceded a goal, so it's not like we could just come in and expect that it will be a game for us to dominate in 90 minutes. We knew that we had to put in a fight. I think it was important for the group to see that we can actually also do that, and also the tough moments of the game we can deal with that. So I think it was an important game for us, and I think we don't talk about results, because everyone who's in football knows about winning. And we know that. I cannot just say to the guys today, okay, what we have to do tomorrow, guys, is to win. So that's why it comes down to the performance. We have to see, okay, how can we affect the game in the best possible way so it's in our favour. And that's why we and how we talk about performance. End of the day, we have to do whatever it takes to win. And if that's to defend with all it takes the last 10 minutes to slide in and block shots and do whatever, of course we have to do it, because that's also a part of a game. But we know that if we put in a performance first half an hour home against Watford like that, then the likelihood of us getting a good result is better.
Just a word on your keeper, because it was a nice moment at the full-time whistle. It seemed that it was almost you pushing him forward just to get that on his own little reaction from the fan base. He made a great save in stoppage time. I mean, what was your reasoning for doing that? Because obviously people were thinking, well, Borja's the one who's won you that game, but it just shows.
Exactly because of that.
Yeah. And big moments, you need a keeper, don't you?
Yeah,
to be able to stand up.
Yeah, and obviously you don't celebrate a save like a goal, because you cannot do that. But you often tend to remember the striker scoring the goals. But it counts like a goal when you do a save like he did towards the end of the game. So I think it was important for him. I think he's been a great part of the team the season. I think he's been consistent in his level. He's a great guy for the group, and I think it was well deserved for him.
I mean, I know full well when you first sort of came in the building, you'd have done your research and a lot of it on these players that you were inheriting. But is he a better keeper maybe than you thought you were getting? Obviously, you knew he was international. He was away with Scotland in the Euros, but now you work with him day in and day out.
Yeah, and I think he's a good keeper, and I think there's also he can still develop and he can still improve. And I think what we get now is an experienced goalkeeper coach from abroad who can come in with maybe new eyes and see how can we take the next step. And it goes for Angus as some of also the more experienced guys, that there's always room for improvement. And I think he's been good for us. I think he's been consistent, but we can make him an even better goalkeeper. And I think that should also be his ambition for the season here. So it was important for him. It was important for the team. But we keep on improving. That's how it is.
As you say, whether you're young or old, you can still obviously keep learning, can't you?
Yeah, and therefore your next question will be about Shane Duffy.
It wasn't going to be actually, but I mean, if
but
you want to, to be honest, I thought I might ask you about him, but I thought probably Dan will be giving me the daggers about moving this on, so we're not here all afternoon. But I'll tell you what, I'll ask you about Shane Duffy. To be fair, though, I mean, you'll know, your opinion's far more important than mine. But it feels that you know what Shane Duffy is as a centre back. But I thought again on Saturday, his work on the ball and his calmness in possession, and you've spoken about that with Cordoba, that you want your centre backs to be able to play under stress. Are you delighted that he's showing that element to his game as well, as an experienced player?
That's I'm so happy you asked me about him because I really think that he's been a really important player of both our build-up game but also our way of defending, and I think a little bit shaky pre-season where I was also in doubt whether we should start him or not, or his position in the group and so on. But he took some steps and he's been so focused and really engaging with the way that we are playing and trying to adapt and learn and really be also positive in his mindset about these things that are going on. So that I think it comes down to that's the reason why he's performing on a good level. Gives us a solid base also on defensive set pieces. I know we conceded one against Derby, but they're maybe also the strongest team in the league with that. But we've only conceded one so far in the season. So I think he gives us stability and consistency, and I think he's really taken some steps in this season.
I mean, is that element of on the ball, is that something you have to sit down with him as pre-season moved through and the start of the season and say, look, if you're going to play in my side as a centre-back, that needs to be part of your craft?
Yeah, we did that, and actually some of the coach members or staff members took him aside also and showed him some clips from his time in Brighton where he did this and was a good player for them, obviously. So we went back to that, and then also with a little bit different approach here on how we do things, but there's also similarities. So we showed him and also the group. I like to have these unit meetings where it's the defenders and midfielders and how we build up, and Glenn are having the same with the defenders and how we defend and so on, where we can go even more into details with this. And I think it comes down to him and his approach to this, and that has been really, really good.
Moving it on, obviously, to tomorrow night while we're down here, your initial thoughts on Leeds. You look at a lot of the metrics. I saw a stat this morning, and they seem to be leading the way. I know it's very early in the season, but it feels like this could be arguably the toughest test so far this season.
It's a strong side. I like the way they play. I like the way they can keep possession. I like the way that they can attack in different areas of the game, different variations. They have pace up front. They can find good positions in between the lines. They can accelerate it with 1v1 players on the side as well. So it's a strong side, and we have to make sure that we do our best in every phases of the game. But I like these games because it's really there you see what we are made of as well, and what we can do, and that will also be our approach to the game tomorrow. That we have to try to dominate as much as possible, accepting that there will be moments in the game where we have to defend and we have to stick together and we have to support each other. But we try to again do our best within the way that we want to play.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, it's two clubs who have been in the Premier League, know what that's about. Both got to the playoffs obviously last season. Both in a good vein of form now in terms of wins these last sort of 4 or 5 games. I mean, is it too early to build it up as something more than 3 points in terms of both have the same aim, which is to get to the Premier League?
Yeah, because it is not more than 3 points. That's how it is, and 3 points earned home against Leeds or away against Derby counts the same end of the day. But of course, sometimes we can all see who will be up there at the end of the season. I think it's fair to say that Leeds will be. So we definitely get some answers about where we are and how we can compete against one of the best teams in the league, and that will be interesting for us to see. I think what I feel and sense from the group is that the guys, they just want to play and they just want to do the stuff that we have done so far this season and get out there in front of the home crowd and show them one more time that we are a strong team as well, and especially with the support from the home crowd, we can do great stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to ask you about the fans, but we'll get straight into it. Yeah. We saw the scale of the away support on Saturday, and I remember you saying when you first came in, you were so much looking forward to a Carrow Road game, big game, under the lights, full house, crowd behind you. Feels like tomorrow is going to be maybe the first example of that. I bet you can't wait for that. And obviously, as you said there, those fans can play a real crucial role tomorrow.
Yeah. I appreciate that it will be difficult for us to play 12:30 on a Tuesday. But it's going to be a long one at home, waiting for kickoff in the evening, because it's an exciting one, and we all love that. That's why we're here. I can feel that on the players. I can feel that everywhere I go in the building here. That people are excited about this one tomorrow, and I think it's obvious for us why.
You touched on, when I asked you firstly about Leeds, you like a lot of their play. I mean, as a coach, how familiar are you with Daniel's work, and clearly his impact here previously?
I can feel that he's a figure where a lot still talk about him and what he did here. Won, of course, 2 championships, and so promoted the team, and also in a way and with a style that was entertaining and a style that fans appreciated. So I can definitely feel that. So I think, and I hope they will appreciate also that tomorrow when he will be here. I think that will be great respect to show. But hopefully we can give them a fight and a tough one. And I think we are where we are. We are in a place at the moment where I think it's realistic for us to actually go to the game tomorrow and expect that we can put in a fight and we can put in a strong performance, even though it's a good team.
Just final one, really. I wanted to ask you because, as you're well aware, I touched on it there. Didn't quite go to plan the second leg of that playoff game. That's putting it mildly. I mean, is that for the group who are here, the core group of players? Is there any part of that you think could be motivation for tomorrow night, putting that one right?
Yeah, of course it was a tough one. And you could see from minute one in that game that Leeds were on top. I think most important for us tomorrow is that we go out there, we play our game, we take the chances in the game, we still play with risk. We have to be front-footed, we have to be proactive in our approach, and I think that's the most important part. Again, you can win and you can lose, but I think end of the day when you sit in the dressing room afterwards, you have to look each other in the eyes and say, okay, did we actually go out there and go for it? And that, I think, is the most important for me to tell the players tomorrow, that we don't change anything. It's the same approach, and we know we can do it also against a good team.
Thanks, Johannes. Good luck. Cheers.
Thank you.
Just one for me, if I can pick up on that gun point and how good he was at the weekend. A lot of discussion around his contractual situation. Where are you with that at the moment?
I think Ben is on the case, like he is with some of the other players as well, because we have good players in the group, and we have to make sure that, especially the good players that we have, that we can keep building on them for a long while.
How important is he to the group, and how difficult would he be to replace? I suppose that's why it's so important to get that contractual situation.
Yeah, of course it is, and it's an ongoing discussion for us, and it takes several parts to find an agreement. That's how it is in football. But it is something we have to be on top of. And like I said, not only with him, but also with some of the other guys performing well at the moment, where we have to make sure that they are in the building for a long time. And if not, then we have to be in a good position in terms of negotiating with other clubs if something like that should happen. So we have to be on top, and we have to plan for the future as well.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.